Today we're going to be looking at how to make random numbers in Python and how to use what we've learned previously. So the structures we've learned, like if statements, fixed loops and while loops with random numbers. So it's really just one little bit extra and how we can change what we already know. So here's an example of a random number. This code looks quite a bit different from what we're used to. I'll explain it in just a second. Essentially it will generate a random number between 0 and 100, 0 and 100 here. So it could be anything in between those two numbers. And then when you run it, it will just print out that number. So it could print out 52, it could print out 65, any number between a 0 and 100. So let's kind of break down what these lines actually mean, first of all. Top one's a bit weird. The import line. Where it works is somewhere in Python there's a file called random. It's hidden. There's actually hundreds of these little files. And normally you can't find them, but they're just bits of code that you don't use as much, and there's loads of them. We use loops all the time, so you don't need to import loops or anything. Random numbers you're not going to use all the time. So when you do want one, you write import random, and what you're doing is you're getting a file that someone else has already made, because to generate a random number is quite complicated. So this guy's wrote 100 lines, maybe 200 lines to write a piece of code. You're just stealing it, essentially. So, and it saves us time, obviously, and it makes things 10 times easier. That's why you do it. So when you write import random, you can use this code made up by this person, whoever has done it. So that's that line. What about the next line? So let's say we've got, the first bit is a number. There's nothing unusual here. This is how you set up your variable name. So number, it's the name of it. You don't have to write number, but it just makes sense. You could call it random number, whatever, but that might get confusing. Just doesn't really matter. This bit is saying look inside the random file. Look in here. You need this bit or it won't be able to find the next bit. This is the important bit. It's called randint, short for random integer. So an integer is a number. It's a random number. It's a function. That's just the name we use for the bits of code. And it's inside the random file. So right now we're saying make a new variable, look in the random file and find the random function. And these numbers, so this brackets, anything inside is called parameters. There's two parameters. The first one is the lowest number, the smallest number you can generate, and the second one is the largest. So this one will make a random number between 0 to 100 and then store it in number. Then you can print it out or whatever after. So that's this slide. We just write print number and it will just, let's just say for example, it pops out 22, but there's really no way to tell. Changing these numbers will give us different values. So if you made, well, I think that's the next slide actually. So let's say we made it 105,000. Now we can't get 22 as an answer. It's not between these two numbers. So it'll just give us anything between this. So I've just said, for example, there really is no way to tell. That's kind of the basics of random numbers. And it's really just, it's always going to look like this. It's pretty much always going to look like this. These three lines, you get them down, that's it. But how can we use them in slightly more complex programs? That's what today's kind of tasks are going to be about. So we can use if statements, which we've looked at previous lessons, so to make decisions depending on what the number is. We're going to be looking at fixed loops to make it maybe repeat the same random number again and again. And a while loop, that's what we looked at last lesson, which is kind of these two combined. We're going to make it so that it will keep asking you a question until you guess the right number. So I'll get the code up. So it's worksheet 14. Where is the worksheet? That's not it. Right, so first one is, I always put these at the start, just copy it out and write it. So we go import and you'll see it'll turn orange. That's how you know it's working. And then I like to take a space. I would encourage taking a space because normally it doesn't matter where you make your random number. This bit is always at the top of your program. You don't want this in the middle of your program. That's how I like to take a space between it. and you just write number, or you know what, to show you it doesn't matter what you call this, I'll just call it num. So num equals random dot randint, and we'll just do 0 to 100 and print out whatever you called it. So I called it num. Oops. And it's popped up on my other screen, but yeah, it's popped up as 52. And that's it really. You can add more to it if you want to make it a bit prettier. You'll probably have to do this later on, but just as a reminder, you just write the number is, make sure to do a comma, and now and as you can see, it's actually changed this time. We've got 68 now. So that is task 1. Task 2, edit task 1 so that the program prints out a number between 100 and 200 instead. So you just have to change these two numbers. That's it. Make it 100 and 200, and that's task 2 done. Should take a minute. This one, create a program that prints out 10 numbers ranging from 1 to 100,000. So you could write out the same code 10 times, but from previous lessons, hopefully some alarm bells are ringing, and that would be a waste of time, and what we can use instead is a loop. Now I'm not going to put the code up for this, I'm just going to put the answer up, but you just make the random number, import random goes at the top, and then you copy and paste this bit into a loop. Like I said, you might have to look into your previous work or the previous worksheets. I've said on it's worksheets 9, 10 and 11, but when you run it, you'll get 10 random numbers between 0 or 1 and 100,000 there. And that's it really. So you only have to add one line of code to actually get this, and then indent some bits. After that, I started this one off for you because you're making the random number, and then we're just using it like an ordinary number. We did this with, like, I don't know, number of cats. If the number of cats was over a certain amount, you print this or whatever. Now we're just saying if the random number, or number as we've called it here, is greater than 50, say it's 50 or more. If it's, and then it'll just tell you what the number is after. After that, edit it. So you need to add an if, you need to add an else here, and then you just say it's less than 50. That is task 5. Task 6, a little bit trickier. So this is the while loop one. The way you want this to work, so this is what we did last time. You know what, can I actually find last time? There was a number guesser in the last week's lesson. So where is it? I'm not going to be able, there it is, right. So this one, we had the number set to 7. I don't know why I've got import random there, but I guess spoilers, I guess. And you just have to change, and you should have this if you've done last week's stuff. You just have to change this number equals 7 bit to number equals random.randint, and then pick the number, and that's it. And then the program works just like that. So it should look like, guess what number is, and I'm going to just say 10. I could be here all day. I think I'm going to give up in a second. If you're testing it and you're getting a bit frustrated that you can't find what the number is, like I am, then what you can do is you can cheat just for testing and just write print out the number so you can see it first. So I'm going to print it out, and then I've edited it on the other screen, so it says the number is 2. So rather than me guessing like an idiot, we can see, does the program actually work? 2, you guessed it right. So then after that, you just delete the line that says print number. After you do task 6, like I said, it's like one of the tasks, I think it was exercise 5 or something in the while loops worksheet. 7 will tell you to do it higher or lower, so you'll need to add an if statement to the loop, and the final answer, I'll count it here, it's only 4 extra lines added to that one. Guess what number it is, and it'll be a lot easier this time, so I'm going to go right in the middle, say 10, guess lower, so let's say 5, guess higher, so let's try and go in the middle again, 7, you guessed it right, and that's it. Extension task, and create two random numbers, so you only have to import random once, and then rather than just going number equals, you go number 1 equals, number 2 equals, and then you're just comparing with an if statement. Have I actually got this up to show you what it should look like? I have no idea which one of these is. Oh, there it is. Oops. So run that, and it made 85 that time, then it made 42, and that's pretty much it. You run it again, it will get you a different number every time. It says first number is 22, the next one is 42, the second number is larger than the first number, and so on. And that is it really. So hopefully this video is helpful. Right, bye.